Hello, this is Matt calling from the Vortex. Can you hear me?
Hear you loud and clear, Matt. This is Taylor on the other line. Taylor speaking.
Hello, all. This is Matt from Voices from the Vortex, and beside me is my buddy Taylor.
Hey. Well, I'm beside you in Vortex cyberspace.
Vortex space.
Yes. How's everybody doing out there? This is our January podcast. Is episode 8, technically. So, welcome.
Hi, thanks. Glad to be here.
All right, well, let's start things off. There's been some huge things. One just today. We now know what the 12th Doctor's costume will look like.
Da, 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 do, 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 do.
And it is slick.
Oh my. Dude looks like a really awesome David Copperfield.
Yeah, I'm pleased. It's kind of we were talking about this a long time ago. It's kind of like we were thinking, he should be in like a suit. He should be real slick, because every time he'd been in interviews, he'd be wearing this suit. And I'm like, I would love the Doctor to look kind of like that. Well, it's kind of like that. The coat's a little longer. It's got like a red lining on the inside.
I like the red lining on the inside. I like that it's almost got that old Doctor Who feel to it.
Yeah.
Where it's a little bit, the colors are a little extreme and everything's a little it stands out just a little bit more.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people sort of harken it back to Troughton and or not Troughton. I'm sorry, Pertwee,
yeah.
But without the frills. Yeah.
Without the frills, yeah. Well, and when we first were introduced to Capaldi, if you remember in the videos and everything, he was holding his jacket the way Hartnell used to hold his jacket.
Yeah. With
his hands on his collar, and he had this look on his face like it was the one thing he knew he was going to do with his Doctor, and this jacket allows him to do that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people think he looks a little like a magician. But he's not. He doesn't have a bow tie or anything. He's got a white shirt underneath with it's buttoned all the way to the top. I think it looks slick. I think it's going to be kind of a older James Bond kind of thing with a longer coat,
with a coat, nonetheless. Well, and we've already seen on the cover of Doctor Who magazines Capaldi in the white dress shirt with the vest. And if you look closely at the picture, if you take off that jacket he's wearing, that's what he's wearing, is the white shirt and the vest. So it looks like they were actually showing us what Capaldi's going to be wearing. It wasn't just what Matt Smith was wearing and he regenerated and he was still wearing it, just sans the jacket.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I really like it.
I do too.
I wonder if he'll add stuff to it.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll put like a little flower in the lapel or something,
or a cane. Maybe he'll carry a walking cane.
Yeah, or like
a sonic cane.
Or I wonder. Well, that's what I was gonna say. I wonder if the sonic screwdriver will be different. I think it should be for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't want him to have Smith's.
I don't want him to have the green with the prongs. I don't think that would be.
Maybe his will be red.
It'll match. Yeah, match his coat. Maybe it'll be a little more sleek. Maybe like some of the earlier ones, like Pertwee's, it's kind of that thin little stick, little. I don't know what you got, like a pen. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. There's a lot of opportunity. I love the idea of the sonic cane from when Matt Smith wore the tux and
that was neat. Yeah.
And I think the way he looks, Capaldi's got such a Victorian era look to him, without it being Victorian era. So him walking is just this power walk, I imagine. And if he had a walking cane with that was a sonic cane, he'd just be able to pop it up and just wave it and open doors.
That's a good way to burn calories, though. Power walking, that's good for you.
Power walking,
yeah.
Only a Time Lord can do it.
In perfect rhythm.
In perfect 4-heart tiny rhythm.
They've also come out with. It was. I don't know if it was like official, or it was just like some footage that somebody had gotten of them filming. He finally started filming now, and something where he's like riding on a horse. So it was a shot where he was being pulled behind a truck, like with a fake horse. He was riding the horse. was like I guess the close-up shot of him, and he's wearing like a nightgown. So we're harkening back to Tenet here with the sleepy time doctor.
Maybe that's how he introduces himself. Just every episode, he'll just come out on a horse like da da da. I'm Capaldi.
That's right.
The 12th.
He needs a catchphrase here. That's what we're waiting for.
I'm the 12th.
Maybe it'll be like marvelous or something. I don't know.
Marvelous. For fuck's sake. His catchphrase.
We're all gonna be so disappointed.
I know, it's going to be something simple like, I'm the doctor, time to go.
Oh, no.
The Daleks show up and it's, it is the doctor, and he says, time to go. Oh my, and then runs away.
And then, and Power walks away.
Power walks away, cane in hand.
So, yeah.
Skip and a jaunty too.
That's about all we know, here come January. So, and that's
not a lot. Yeah, not a lot revealed so far, but more than we thought there would be.
But I'm actually surprised they've revealed his costume because, like this early, it seems crazy. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Matt Smith? They just kind of had a picture. I'm like, this is what the actor looks like, and he was wearing some kind of like dark clothes and stuff. And it wasn't until the episode aired, right, that he.
We saw a couple. We saw a couple of pictures. When they were filming, they were actually filming the Angels. No, the two-parter from season 5.
Oh yeah,
and we saw him in that. They filmed like the first episode, then they filmed that episode, the Angels episode, and you could definitely see him, in costume out there, and people are like, "Well, is he a professor or?" What is he doing? And why is he wearing tweed? And that's just crazy talk. And everyone was not sure what to make of it. And then we saw him for the first time, and I don't think any of us didn't drool.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, we got like 8 months to go, and it was just surprising that we already know. It was pretty cool. I hope they have something for each month. Like, this is, that would be nice. But
so we could talk about something every month.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, they have the. There's also some pictures, and I don't know if we've discussed this already, but the Pastor Nostra gang is coming back for the first episode of season 8.
That's good.
Which is good.
We could acclimatize them to the new Doctor.
Right, and I think that's it's to sort of keep us comfortable with this new Doctor. We're like, oh, good old Strax. He'll get me through this hard times.
And then he'll say something to the Doctor like, do you want me to get the memory worm? And then the Doctor will say something like, I hate you.
Yeah.
And that'll be his catchphrase.
I hate you.
Strax will go, oh.
Oh.
Unlike my previous version, Strax, I do not take well to candor.
I'll go play with my grenade.
Oh, Strax.
I hope he sticks around for a while.
I do.
At least as long as Moffat's around.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Before we get to our topic at hand here, I have a fan question.
Yay, fan questions.
If you would like to send us fan questions, just ask us somehow.
Send us an email.
What's
that email address?
At gmail.com. Send us an ask on Tumblr. Tweet at
we're
us
on Tumblr, guys.
At Vortex Podcast.
Are any of you listening to us on Tumblr?
Facebook.
Is that how you contact us?
.com/Voices from the Vortex. Right. So, I'm assuming you're either listening to this through Tumblr, the link on Tumblr, or you subscribe to us on iTunes and you download it on iTunes. So, however you did that, please send us some questions. We'd love to answer them. But for now, we have this one here. Again, it's from Brian Schmitterer. It's the last one I got from him.
Mm-hmm.
His question is, I feel that Amy Pond, I'm assuming, has absolutely no common sense, and for a lack of a better term is, quote, pretty stupid. Do you agree?
No. I'm going to disagree with the statement.
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far.
I very disagree.
Yeah.
I think Amelia Pond, Amy Pond, I'm assuming you were not referring to Amy Who, I think Amy Pond is one of the...
Amy Who.
Amy Who. Amelia Who. I think Amy Pond is one of the most clever of his companions in a long time. I think she has tried... I think she tried very hard to keep up with the Doctor, and she did a very good job of it. I think she was always one step ahead of Rory, and Rory was about the average brain capacity of a companion.
Right.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. I think Amy Pond was one of the smartest.
Yeah. I don't agree with him per se, but I will have to say I wasn't a huge fan of Amy. If I had to rank her, she would be, Rose and Amy are kind of near the bottom for me, and then I like Donna and Martha, and then I think Clara is my favorite right now.
Claire is just amazing.
Claire is amazing, so I think so she's at the top for me. But anyway, Amy's kind of down there at the bottom, and the only reason I say that is just because, not that I didn't like her, but I feel like, one, he was around for like a really long time, and I almost got tired of her. It was kind of that novelty of her wore off after a while. It's like, okay, how long is the companion going to stick around this time? Because I was used to a pattern of you get a season and then you move on.
Yeah.
The other reason is season 5, Amy is kind of annoying to me. Like, there's a lot. Season 6 and 7, she's great. She knows what she's doing. She's really confident. But the whole thing thing in season 5 where it was like she liked the Doctor, and that whole scene where she was like trying to kiss him, and then she does this really weird the season finale, season 5. It's the whole thing. She's like, "You may definitely kiss the bride." I'm like, really? You just got married? Like, that line was so cheesy and so not even. It was out of character for me. So anyway, I feel like there were some moments in season 5 where I was like, "Oh, Amy Pond, what are you?" I don't know. I
never said that she wasn't a jerk to Rory. I just said.
Exactly. And as much as I love the 11th Hour, there's some faces that Karen Gillan makes in the 11th Hour that I'm like, what is this acting? Like, what are you even doing with your face right now? And so, that's why she's kind of at the bottom for me. But I don't think as a character as a whole she was stupid. She seems to figure stuff out pretty quickly.
Yeah, she doesn't make bad choices. She makes choices based on really what's strongest for her. She always seems like she comes out of the gate just really, really strong, really confident, really courageous.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between making courageous choices and making stupid choices. Here, let me help you out. Courageous choice. Choosing to fight for the man you love in a fake universe created by bad dreams by allowing yourself to die. Okay? Courageous. Stupid choice. Staying on a Cybermen-riddled ship crashing onto Earth in prehistoric times because you think you know the answer to the computations. Okay.
You have angered so many people right now.
Here's a courageous choice. Choosing to tell your best friend that you're pregnant when you're afraid that it might hurt his feelings, especially whilst in the middle of an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid choice. Randomly running through the TARDIS corridors only to be captured by the Master and used to trap the Doctor in a painting. Here we go.
Yes.
Courageous.
Okay.
Well, all I'm saying is the Doctor's had dumber. Not necessarily uglier, just dumber.
Yeah. No common sense. Yeah, she's got common sense. And pretty stupid. I think all of the, I will say Moffat's companions. Now, granted, there's only been 2. Well, I mean, if you count Rory and River, that's 4. But I feel like they save the Doctor more often than any of the previous, than Donna or Martha or Rose. Now, granted, they did save him, but I feel like, and especially Clara, not even talking about her clones, which this is the weirdest conversation. If anyone just heard that sentence, it didn't make any sense to them.
Clara, not all the other Claras, just one
just
Clara.
this one. She saves the Doctor on a regular basis. And I feel like when Tennant was the Doctor, it was always him who figured it out at the end, and he saved the day.
Right.
And,
This is actually leading us into our conversational topic for today.
Yes.
By the way,
Yes.
I'm going to make a statement here, and then I'm not going to talk about it again until we get into our actual thing here and we start talking about it. Moffat's era of Doctor Who have strong companions who can decide for themselves and oftentimes save the Doctor. This is the only era of Doctor Who in which that happens of the New Who. The Davies era did not do that. All of Tennant's and subsequently Eccleston's companions did whatever the Doctor said, and the Doctor saved them. World of difference. Okay.
Okay.
There's a soapbox over there.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it there. I'm coming back over here.
We'll come back into it in a second. So yeah, they I feel like Moffat's companions are very strong as far as that goes, and Amy, as much as she's not my favorite, he is very strong and very smart. And I feel like maybe she just annoyed me a couple times with the way she would interact with people or something. You know what I mean? That's about it. But I didn't hate her.
No. I liked her. I miss the Ponds.
Yeah, I've been
Pondish-looking faces.
Yeah. So good question. Thank you. So anyone else out there who wants to ask us a question, ask away. We will answer it next time.
We will do everything in our power to sarcastically answer it, and to do so in a very demeaning way. You're welcome.
Yeah, really good question.
No, but seriously, thank you. That was
thank you very much.
And much appreciated.
Okay, so
okay,
the topic of the month. And,
oh God, here we go.
And this has been going on for about the last couple of weeks, and it all started when an article came out that was
a blog.
It was a blog post or an article came out that a lot of people, it got a lot of attention, and a lot of people it's about half and half, I would say. People are like, yes, thank you for saying what we've been, and then another half is like, no, you're dumb. And I'm going to assume, and we're going to go on a limb here, that both you and I are on the that's so dumb of this argument.
Yes, very
okay.
much so.
If you don't know what we're talking about, there is a sort of a surge out there of Moffat haters who are trying to use sexism as the thing that they don't like about him. And there's even like a petition, like, this man, needs to leave Doctor Who, he's ruining it because he's sexist, yada yada yada. And we disagree. For many, many reasons.
One of the things that we should mention, the article goes into some depth. The blogger writes and quotes and does actually attribute the quotes. Stephen Moffat giving very, very bad, very poor answers to questions at conventions and in interviews, and does go through and list some of his grievances that they have, specifically talking about his treatment of women and his view of women. The article itself attacks his person as being a very misogynistic writer,
right,
who writes poorly.
Well, there's two sides to it. There's he's sexist himself, and he writes sexist. So,
what I want to address
yeah.
first, though, I really don't want to go through and address like all the things he did or didn't say at a convention. I feel like when we start talking about the minutia of the quotes he said, the article really goes on about these quotes, and that's one of the problems, is that they're taking a lot out of context. They're taking a lot from different conversations he's had over many years and trying to put together a pattern where I don't necessarily think that it's fair for us
No,
to
I don't
look
think
at
it's
that.
fair either. I think we have a problem sometimes with people in the media, is we like to... I mean, we don't know who he is. So what we like to do is we like to say, well, this is the kind of person he is based on these quotes, and we like to find some kind of stereotype for him. Like, okay, he's kind of a sexist person. So then anything else he says, you're like, oh, well, there's sexism right there, and people find sexism in everything. And it's not really, it's not fair at all.
No, it's not. And so what I want to do rather is I want to address the parts of the article specifically that talk about his writing, because that's the one thing we can review. That's the one thing we can look at and say, this is what he meant to say. This is what he was saying with his writing. We can interpret that.
Right.
So that's what I want to look at. There's 3 particular complaints or grievances that this person makes in this article
Right.
that I think are important. The first grievance that they make is that it's a misogynistic character. The Doctor himself is misogynistic, that he's very sexist against women, that he acts as more of from a male perspective, a male view, and does not treat women with respect. The second grievance that they have that I want to address is that the women that Moffat writes are weak, are not strong, they're more cowardly, they're written to be less than the Doctor, to be worse than the Doctor, to require the Doctor, but they're written to be weaker characters. And the third thing that I want to address, and I'm going to actually address first, the third part first, is that he does not write for homosexuals or homosexual couples well. That his intent is to write for heterosexual couples, that he does not give much thought to homosexual couples, and that he does not see them as being a good thing to write.
Right, and this sort of stems a little bit from some comments he's made. He's made a few. He kind of joked around when he's answering a question about homosexual couples or something, or bisexual. There was some thinking about bisexual. Right. There's some quote he said there, and so that's where all this is coming from. And I'm not here to defend the guy. I mean, he shouldn't have maybe making certain jokes about certain things.
Right.
And I'm not here to defend him, but because he's the executive producer, people think, he's responsible for everything that goes on with the show.
Right.
Other people write for the show, and even though he's in charge, it's not like every little thing he gets to decide. I mean, he's a busy guy. I'm sure not everything, is something that he gets to think about. Oh, who's this going to offend?
So
I better make sure.
Instead of the minutia of the man, I'm not going to get into what he thinks or what he says. I'm going to look at his writing, solely his writing, and I'm going to judge that, because that's the only thing I think any of us can criticize. The only thing we can look at.
Exactly,
and understand.
And I think it just bugs me that that people take who the man they think he is, and they've kind of taken what he said and put it into his writing and says, look, this defends what I'm saying about him because of this. This plot device he used or character. Yeah.
So the first thing, we're going to start with point 3 first. The first thing I want to talk about is the grievance that he does not write homosexuals well. He does not write for homosexual couples, or he does not feel that they should be given credence in his writing. To be fair, I'm going to completely disagree with this statement. I'm going to completely disagree with this grievance. I think he does write homosexuals well. In fact, I think he might be the only person writing homosexuals well, both on Doctor Who and for British television. So to look at that, I'm going to start with the fact that from the get-go with Matt Smith, when he took over, he has made sure that throughout the course of the 3 seasons that there have been written in there homosexual couples. The biggest to name would be the Paternoster from the Paternoster game, would be Madame Vostra
and Jenny, yeah.
And those two alone being females and interspecies even that they're two different species in love, but that they're two women who are together and married.
Yeah, and a positive model of it too. You know,
and it is. He doesn't write them as being something that people go ooh and ah, and they're special. They don't even consider themselves special. It's just who they are. It's just what they are, and it's written very casually. The Doctor doesn't take notice of it. The Doctor doesn't care to take notice of it because it's not important to him. Backtracking a season, when you look at A Good Man Goes to War, you had what were they? The fat, thin, gay, Anglo-Saxon Marine couple. We need names. They were written as jokes, certainly. You know that they weren't.
They were kind of a comic relief to those two characters, yeah.
But they were written as, and that's even what the guy says, is when the girl, when what's-her-face asks them their names, what's your names, the guy even says, look, we already have all these classifications, what do we need names for? That wasn't a line saying, you know, well, we're not important, we don't deserve names. It was a line saying, you know, look at who we are, we have all this stuff that matters, all this stuff that's important about us, what do you need to know our names for? We are a couple, we are the fat, thin, gay couple. We are Anglo-Saxon Marines. You know, he was making a statement, in sort of an absurd way, saying it doesn't matter who we are as people. We're already defined by our relationship. We're already defined by the nature of who we are. You know, that should be enough for you.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to give us names.
Yeah, I think one complaint is that they were just kind of they're just. Sometimes it would seem like he would just throw in the gay couple just to be... But I think that's the best way to do it, is just to have them there and not really talk about it. You know what I mean? And just that they're just there because it would be normal for...
Right. Well, a lot of
all
times,
people of different sexual orientations. Yeah.
As the show is getting made, you got to keep in mind a couple things. One, the show is under scrutiny, too. People are writing about this show. The people are saying these things. They're saying we don't like Moffat because, and as he's writing it, and he's not immune to this. Of course, he knows what people are saying. He knows what people are upset about. So a lot of times, too, when you see these episodes, when he makes a point of writing characters like that, that's sort of a moment where you have to look at him writing commentary on what people are responding to. There's a line the Doctor makes right before he's about to die and Let's Kill Hitler, where he just like a woman, you know, and talking about trying to kill him, and Amy just glares at him and says, "Oh, I'm dying, let me have it." And that, a lot of people, you know, that's one of the grievances in the article, saying, well, that's the misogynistic Doctor. He's treating women with no respect, just like a woman to kill him.
Right.
But when you actually turn that on its head, look at it what it really is. They engineered a psychopath to kill him, and he's dying now. And his response is this unbelievably glib line that the Doctor's not serious. He's not saying it's just like a woman to do that. He's trying to make light of the situation, the fact that he's about to die. You know, that's a tough spot for anybody. And I'll tell you what, if I was about to die because of poison, I'd be making glib jokes too. Anything to make myself laugh, anything to make myself, you know. And he gets the response from Amy. Amy glares at him.
Right. Well, and that's that's one of the things that people say. There's several times when the Doctor kisses somebody, and it happened a lot last season and even in his last episode, where he kisses somebody and it's sort of an unwanted kiss. Like he kisses Jenny at one point,
right?
And it's sort of this thing. It's like, you know, she didn't want to be kissed, first of all, and she's a lesbian, so it's not like she especially wouldn't want that or whatever. And it's sort of like that's sort of a misogynistic thing, thinking like, oh ho ho, you know, I'll kiss you, and it's just this thing.
It's not.
And people say, well, no. Here's what people say is, even though the characters call him out on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she slaps him, and a lot of the other ones are, you know, they're not happy about it. It's not like he kisses them and they go, oh, Doctor, you know what I mean?
Right.
They call him out on it, but people are saying even though he gets called out on it, that still doesn't excuse the behavior. That still makes it sexist. I'm like, well, no, it doesn't. I mean, Moffat is putting in the fact that he's getting called out on it. That means he realizes this is not an okay behavior, you know. And his version of the Doctor is kind of a cartoon, you know.
Well,
so it's a whole Bugs Bunny kissing Elmer Fudd kind of thing.
It's very pantomime, and that's
yes, exactly.
People forget that when you write characters pantomime, when you write them physical actors, when you write them to be more of a cartoon, you do get those offbeat moments. But let's look at that moment in particular. The Doctor isn't kissing her as a man kisses a woman. He's kissing her because he just survived something, because he's the Doctor. I don't look at the Doctor and think man or male. I look at the Doctor and I think Time Lord. I think alien. I think the dude who saved the universe more times than anybody else. I use dude as just a terminology for person, for thing, not guy. I apologize. It was a poor word to use in this conversation, but no. But I mean, I don't look at him as a male doing this. I look at him as the guy, the person who just saved the world, and so he's brash and he's manic. If nothing else, the Doctor, we've seen that from Eccleston and from Tennant, that he gets manic. He gets very excitable, and you can't stop him. And sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad. Look at the moment where River kisses him for the first time. It's very unexpected for him, and you kind of see this other side to it. People who say, "Well, he kisses people," and they don't want to be kissed by him. Okay, what happens when he got kissed and wasn't expecting it? He didn't want to get kissed by someone. He squirms. He's very uncomfortable with it. Yeah. He recognizes that there are boundaries, and he expects those boundaries. But at the same time, the moments where he does something, where he crosses those boundaries, oftentimes are a moment of very heightened emotional stress, where any person, anyone at all, would turn around and say, "What just happened? How did we survive this?" And probably feel that overwhelming need to show emotion to the person they survived it with. So I'm gonna leave that there. But I want to backtrack just a little bit again about the homosexual couples. There's this huge thing that everybody keeps dropping the ball on, and it's really bothering me. Stephen Moffat wrote Captain Jack Harkness. He created Captain Jack Harkness. Yeah. There is no better iconic character for homosexual in a science fiction television show than Captain Jack Harkness. He transcended Doctor
people.
He transcended Doctor Who through into Torchwood, and has become this character that people can really get behind as, you don't have to define yourself gay, straight, it doesn't matter. If you love all things, then that's what it is, and that's Captain Jack. And that was Moffat's creation. Does he write Captain Jack, as a terrible character? No. Does he write him in situations where Captain Jack would need to be saved? No. He writes him into situations where Captain Jack is Captain Jack. He writes the character. And being gay is just a casual part of it. It's a conversation piece.
Right. I think when Russell T Davies wrote for him, from then on, I think there's several times where that character becomes kind of maybe a little over the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like he was really good in that two-parter in season 1.
Because that was Moffat.
Yeah, it was a really good character. His omnisexual sort of persona was just kind of there. It wasn't. They didn't kind of bring it up all the time, And that's something that Davies did.
Well, yeah, and Davies' era. This is what I'm getting at with all this. Davies' era. When we start looking at, is the Doctor misogynistic? Is the Doctor, are the women characters written by Moffat weaker than the Doctor? I don't think Amelia Pond is weak at all. I think she's the strongest companion he's ever had, bar none. That includes Donna. And that's because, Donna would shout and scream and be the first one to tell the Doctor to stuff it. Amy didn't require the Doctor the way Donna required the Doctor.
Yeah.
David Tennant treated the women in his life as if they were something to protect. They were the women in his life. They weren't written as strong characters. They were written as lovelorn characters, or the love interest
brings you to
character.
Brings you to the first point, or the other point is he doesn't write strong female characters. And there's a huge argument that's like, especially the quote from River where she says, I live for the days I see the Doctor.
Yeah.
They have this idea that all of Moffat's female characters and all his companions, their lives just revolve around the Doctor, and they all have to do with the Doctor. Well, in one extent, it's like, well, yeah, the show's called Doctor Who. Yeah. I want to see people that are like have something to do with him.
Right.
Second of all, that's not even true. These people have other lives,
right?
Just as much as Davy's companions did, and
even more so than Davy's companions.
Well, this is very true.
Look at Rose. Rose, once she met the Doctor, she was with the Doctor. She didn't go home and stay home for a couple of years. She didn't, get married to Mickey meanwhile and then get back on the TARDIS. She was with the Doctor. She fell in love with the Doctor. It devastated her when she was ripped apart from the Doctor. And her story ends when Davies writes that she gets a Doctor. She is nothing more than a love interest and a lovelorn character.
Right.
Martha Jones, same thing. The minute she meets the Doctor and is whisked away, her other life is just put on hold. She keeps putting aside all that for the Doctor. Now look at Amelia Pond. Yes, the early part of her life revolves around the obsession with the Doctor, because she was a little girl when she first meets this magical man in a magical box, right? This wizard in a box.
Yeah.
But as she gets older, she still has stories with friends and with Rory. She falls in love with Rory, and even though she goes off with the Doctor, she comes back home and spends time with Rory. She has a life with Rory. She brings Rory with her because they're all friends, but they live their own life. They even wrote an episode that specifically talked about that, the power of three.
Yeah.
So Amelia Pond has a life outside of the Doctor.
Well,
River Song is an even better example, because River Song spends all this time as a psychopath in love with the Doctor, marries the Doctor. I live for the days I see the Doctor. And what's the first thing she says when the Doctor tells her, travel with me? She says, sometimes, but not always.
Yeah,
she tells him,
he could have stayed
I'm not
right
going
there.
to stay. I have my own thing. I have my own stuff.
Exactly.
So you can criticize Moffat if you look at individual moments and say, well, in this moment, Amy Pond needed the Doctor because she was obsessed with him her whole life. Or at this moment, River Song could only survive if she saw the Doctor. But then backtrack a second and look at the bigger picture. All of Moffat's characters, while their lives revolve around the Doctor, all of them are strong enough that they can leave him and be on their own without him, without it breaking the bank, without it breaking the formula. When Martha Jones left the Doctor, she left. When Rose was trapped, she was trapped. When Donna left, she no longer had any memories of the Doctor. She was gone. But Amy Pond comes in and out, and so does River Song.
Right.
That's important to note.
Well, and the big thing with Amy is people complained that, she was a weak character because it was all about the men in her life. You know what I mean? It was all about Rory and it was all about the Doctor. But people who are thinking, it's the Doctor and Rory were symbolic for her of her adventurous life and her life at home, of her two choices. Amy's choice. They're just figurative in there. But people couldn't, they kind of don't see past that, and they see, she just, she only did things for Rory, and she only did things for the Doctor, so she only did things for a man, which means, whatever. So, I completely agree with you, and I'm not here to bash Russell T Davies, but I feel like the sexism was maybe even worse before Moffat came in. And the only reason I say that is because Davies is what a lot of people try to turn to say this is like this. I miss this day. I miss when Davies wrote it. It was so much better. It wasn't all this crap. And you're wrong, because it was even worse, if not the same.
Here
all the mothers, he wrote mothers horribly. All the mothers of the companions, they were all the same. Like they were all the same kind of character.
Loud,
brash, exactly.
Single.
Yes, and we talked about this the other, like a week ago, just on the phone. We were talking about how most of Davies went, almost any of the women who were on the show, instantly kind of had an infatuation with the Doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them thought, oh, he's cute, he's dreamy. The old lady of Wilf's friend, look, it's the Doctor,
Right.
And when we get to Moffat, people think, it's all the characters revolve around the Doctor, they need him. But there's a lot of characters there's a lot of times where he gets called out by several people, by several women. Women are fighting against him. We just saw an episode, Tasha Lem, she fought against him. Although he was attracted to him, she didn't just do whatever he said and didn't...
Right.
Right. So...
Yes, and look at Tasha Lem. Here's a very good point. Tasha Lem is written as an old lover of the Doctor. And anyone who has an ex, anyone who has an old lover, and it's been years, but you're still friends with them, there is always sort of that attitude, that sort of back and forth, a little bit of flirting. It's just the way it is. There's just this underlying tension. And what does the Doctor do? He when Tasha Lem gets taken over by the Daleks, and she's literally holding Claire, about to kill the one person the Doctor really appreciates and needs in his life as a possible girl, he says this line where he says, "Now that's a woman," and that gets Tasha Lem, flustered, or gets her upset, and that she gets control of it again. People say, well, that line is just a representation of the Doctor saying, a woman who's willing to die for him is really a woman. No, the Doctor was saying to a woman who was incredibly strong and incredibly brave, who had just been taken over, basically mind raped by the Daleks.
By Dalek nanobots. I mean, this is the thing.
Something so horrible to her sense of feminism that it snapped her out of the mind meld or whatever the hell she was in. Like, if somebody took over my body, what would they say to me? Doctor Who sucks. And that would snap me out of it. Because Doctor Who rocks. You say the opposite to get them to snap out of it. That's just a writing trick. So, okay. The thing that bothers me is that people look at the show and they go, okay, well, sometimes it has an agenda, sometimes it doesn't, but it should always be fair to all these different things. And I just want to tell people, stop. Let them write the show, okay? You don't have to like it episode to episode. Hell, you don't have to like it doctor to doctor. But the show is the show. It's written to be a drama. It's written to entertain. And if there are times that characters come off as being cookie cutter, or they come off as being stereotypes, that's probably because they're writing a cookie cutter or stereotype. Because it's a 45-minute program, people.
Right, exactly.
Nobody seems to have a problem when the Master is this evil psychotic villain, and everyone goes, he kind of did twirl his mustache a little bit. But nobody has a problem with the fact that he was basically just an insane person taking over the world. Well, shouldn't he have done this? Shouldn't he have been a little more clever? Well, I don't like that they're stereotyping French people. I mean, they do all these horrible... That was a terrible joke, thank you. They do all these, they write this horrible character, which is great. He was so fantastic. But nobody jumps on the bandwagon saying they're poorly writing evil people, everyone gets in such a huff because they're not respecting something, but then they're just taking these little moments and they're not looking at the bigger picture. And all I can say is it's a TV show, and it's a good TV show. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But for the love of that's Gallifrey, just chill, because it's not attacking your feminism and it's not attacking your independence. And to be totally fair, Moffat writes men as being very effeminate. Shouldn't I have a problem with that? Shouldn't I have a problem with the fact that Rory is basically a stay-at-home mom? Shouldn't I have a problem with the fact that the Doctor is very asexual, that Matt Smith's Doctor is? That even though there's River Song, he doesn't go around swaggering, being a guy and a male and forcing women to fall in love with him? I don't have a problem with any of this, because it's just how it's written. It's just the characters as they are, and it's entertaining to me. I can disassociate myself with the characters. Okay, off my soapbox.
Here's one of my biggest complaints is people who say the whole thing with River is like, oh, she lives for the Doctor. Here's my point I'm trying to make here. Being in love with somebody does not make you a weak character. You can have many other great qualities, but as soon as you do something for a man, it's like all of a sudden that's sexism right there.
Right.
I'm sorry, romance and love are great plot elements in a story and characteristics for somebody to have. And if they can't be in a TV show, then I'm sorry, I don't know what to, like,
Right.
if somebody can't do something for love, then you should not be watching Doctor Who, because
Well, and
one of the main things is love, and
look,
it's an adventure romance show. I mean, somebody,
Right.
yeah.
I'm 100% behind, the LGBTQ community. I really am. I'm behind.
Me too.
I'm behind a lifestyle that it doesn't matter who you love and what you do. That's a part of who you are, and that's great. But Doctor Who is written a certain way by a certain group of people, and okay, if you don't like it, if you don't identify with it, I'm sorry, but I do. And just because someone else doesn't identify with it doesn't mean that they should change it so that way everybody can, because not everybody's going to identify with it. Hey, guess what? The Doctor's never been black before. That doesn't mean that an African American can't identify with him. It means even if he was, doesn't mean I couldn't identify with him. Okay?
Right.
But it's how he's written. It's just at the moment, this is what he is. He's not a woman. That doesn't mean that women can't identify with him, and it doesn't mean that if he was a woman, I couldn't identify with him. It's just how he is. The Doctor's not a 5-tentacled squid creature from the planet Cthulhu, but that doesn't mean that, a 5-tentacled squid creature from Cthulhu couldn't identify with him, and if he was, then I couldn't identify with him. Okay, my point is...
And that's a huge demographic,
that's
too.
A huge
they
demographic
should really
that
be
watches
reaching
Doctor
out.
Who. The point is this is how the show's written. The character is written to be a British guy. He's a white British male.
It's written by older British men.
It's what do you want from it?
Yeah. Here's one of my problems is people, for some reason, they now expect everything that's on television to be this huge, like, groundbreaking thing that's like breaking down all the barriers and all. It's like,
right.
Let's throw more gay characters onto this show and more non-traditional characters, and that's great. But it's like, if a character is just traditional, it's like, well, that's a horrible character. Why aren't they
right.
Why aren't they gay, or why aren't they something else? I mean, not everything has to be right. Identifiable to a T, to exactly,
Right, and that's the character's written a certain way, and he's been written a certain way for 50 years. He has never been written as being sexist. He's never been written as being racist. He's never been written as being horrible. He's the hero, and the hero is written to be for everybody. And he doesn't have to stand up every day and say, I believe in this, and I believe in that, and I believe... He goes about his day. He goes about his business. He does what he does, and he shows it through his actions. That's how they write the character. That's what writing's all about. And if there are people who want to criticize because they don't see the change they're looking for, or if there are people who want to criticize because particular moments don't prove to them that the character is or isn't something, then those people need to stop watching, because they're never going to be happy with it, because they're not going to be happy until they have their own show. Go make your own show. Do it your way, and then I'll watch it, because I'm sure it'll be great.
Here's I don't need, this is Doctor Who, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't need it to be like a soapbox for social issues, you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
I understand you want to see more characters, more representation, and that's a great thing to have more representation, just even in like textbooks, like different races, better races, in textbooks and on TV, so that these characters, so it's more, it's more mainstream to everyone, and it's not they're not such outcasts as far as not being included in things. Yeah. I understand all of that, but
Doctor Who isn't written that way. Doctor Who isn't written to be terrible.
No, it's written to be a romance, adventure, a comedy, drama, fun. And sci-fi show. Yeah.
There are straight characters, there are gay characters. There's white characters, there's black characters.
There's an omnisexual character.
There's omnisexual character. There's a omnisexual character. There's men, there's women, there are men who are strong, there are men who are effeminate. There are women who are strong, there are women that are effeminate. It's written to be with all these things, and sometimes they emphasize one, sometimes they emphasize the other. and I don't feel like these grievances that are brought up in this blog, I don't feel like they're fair to the writing, and I don't feel like it's what they're saying is represented in the writing. That's what I want to say. I refute the statements that the Doctor's misogynistic, because I feel like he doesn't treat women more or less than he treats men. I feel like he treats I think he treats humans less than he treats other things sometimes. What's that line? Whenever he's in a mood, he starts he basically starts screaming out species. He insults species. That's it. Whenever he's upset, he insults species. You know, I don't think Moffat fails to write good gay characters. I think he writes great gay characters, and I think he writes them sparingly, because I think if the whole show is written as gay characters, then it wouldn't be Doctor Who.
Here's the thing: is like
Doctor Who with gay characters.
Yeah, like why do they have to say each gay character doesn't have to come out and go like, oh, by the way, I'm gay. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's several gay characters that just didn't even like mention they were gay. Like, and I'm being facetious here, but like any of the characters that never mention their sexual preference in any way, they could be anything. Okay,
right? You don't get a backstory,
right? They don't need one. You know, they were a side character that he needed for this story, and again, it's fiction, it's science fiction, it's not meant to be, you know, a soapbox for these issues.
You know, the Absorbaloft was gay.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things. That's like,
hey, anyone have a problem with that? Anyone have a problem with the fact that the Absorbaloft didn't tell everybody that he was gay?
No,
Dude was also a monster and ate people. Like, I have a bigger problem with that.
There's the thing is, like, Dumbledore turned out to be gay. Like,
who cares?
Like, later, like, it didn't matter to me, and even reading it and just thinking, well, I guess, you know, as I'm reading, it's like, well, he's gay.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference.
It really doesn't.
And it shouldn't make a difference. It shouldn't have to be an issue. You know, there shouldn't have to be a scene where the Doctor goes, "Oh, you're gay? Well, that's awesome. I love gay people." You know what I mean? It's
right. And if there happens to be a scene like that, that's fine too. But then, you know, there it is.
There it is, and it's not.
The Doctor doesn't hate gays, so get off his back.
Right. You know, we don't. I don't feel like
Doctor hates Daleks. That's
yeah.
Tell you what, I'm an anti-Dalek. That's what I am.
And I don't feel like Moffat has to prove anything in his writing, because I don't see it in his writing. I guess as other people do.
Right.
The thing is like, I don't know the man, but let's say he is a little bit sexist. I mean, he's an older gentleman. It's a different generation. It's different kind of jokes that he would tell might be a little more insensitive nowadays to some other people. That's fine, whatever. But as long as it doesn't start affecting the show, you know, this petition to get him fired or whatever, and get him kicked out, it makes no sense. It doesn't affect the show, and it's obviously not, because I think there's like a half, I wouldn't say even a half and half split. I think there's just a group of people who maybe aren't pleased with the way the show is going right now, so they try to look for something that's sexist. You know, this is a real problem. We should get rid of it.
All right, so time for a new segment on the show called "Oh My God, No Promo."
Yeah.
Oh my God, no promo.
There's no promo.
Why if we have him in an outfit? Why do we not have a promo? He just has
He's
to look
riding
at the
on a horse.
Go,
that's his promo.
Guess who? Like, that's it. That's all he has to do. Look at the camera and say, "Guess who?" Could have been promo. I would have been happy. Damn it, Moffat! You're so anti-promo.
Yeah. What is your problem with promos?
I'm going to write a petition. I think he should be fired off the show unless he writes more promos.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, hey, this has been a productive month for Doctor Who.
Yeah, it has. And again, if you don't like the show, it's okay. You know, people have opinions, and we're not here to stomp all over everybody's opinions. We just wanted to give ours.
There you go.
I think Moffat is a great writer. I don't think he writes poor women characters. And I don't think the Doctor is misogynistic under Moffat. And I just don't see it. And maybe it's because I'm a man. I don't know. But
it's certainly not because I'm a man, because we all know that that's just barely true. That's technically true.
You're a 5-tentacled
I am. I'm a 5-tentacled creature from the planet of Furbits. Like, it's what it is.
So yeah, I hope we didn't piss too many people off today, but it was just it bugged me, and I thought maybe we could talk about it.
So there you go.
And it's definitely an interesting conversation
Indeed.
to have. Interesting
All right.
debate. But yeah, any last thoughts, Matt?
None whatsoever.
That's it. You're done.
Yep.
You got off your soapbox a long time ago.
I've said my piece, and I'm done talking about it. As far as I'm concerned, the rest of my life will be devoted to how much I love Doctor Who.
Exactly.
And anyone has a problem with that, they can. They know where to write it. They can write it on the web. All right.
All right. Well,
hey guys, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having fun. We'll have some more lighthearted topics next time.
Make sure to send us your questions at voicesfromthevortex@gmail.com or ask us on our Tumblr page. Make sure to find us on Facebook, Voices from the Vortex at facebook.com/voicesfromthevortex, something like that. Find us on Facebook, like us there, watch our, listen to our podcast. Find us on iTunes, as we're on iTunes, and any manner of social media that we happen to be on, including Twitter. Come join in the conversation and say hi.
At Vortex Podcast. Yes, please
Vortex
say hello.
Podcast.
We would love to talk to you.
Hey, this is Matt from the Vortex saying, have a fabulous, wonderful, fantastical January.
Marvelous time.
A Moffatious time. We'll see you again next month.
Goodbye, everyone.
See ya. Alright, so, time.
Goodbye.